backlash against a new condo tower in a densely populated neighborhood.
I don't think that a tower should be built.
The petition with thousands of people against a new 43-story condo tower, why an urban planner says it could help Liberty Village congestion issues.
We set out to send Justin Trudeau a message, and I think we were successful.
Plus, Durham gets a new MP. What tonight's by-election means for the balance of power in Ottawa.
There's almost a sense of, I guess, a lot of relief that that part of it is now completed.
And closure decades in the making. How DNA evidence brought a killer to justice 4 decades after he killed 2 Toronto women. Good evening, I'm Chris Glover. We're going to get to our top stories in just a second. But first, I want to start with an active police investigation in the city's West End. A man is dead following a shooting in an apartment complex.
Police and paramedics arrived on scene. They located a male victim with what appeared to be gunshot wounds. Life-saving measures were provided, but unfortunately the male victim succumbed to his injuries and he was pronounced deceased at the scene.
All right, so it happened on Bergemont Avenue near Islington and Rexdale a little before midnight last night. Between the recent bus stop shootings at Jane and Driftwood and the shooting nearby Humber College, neighbors in the northwest area of the city say they are fed up with the gun violence they've experienced lately.
You're used to it, you know what I mean? You're always hearing sirens, ambulance, cops flying up and down. You know, it's gotten crazy around here the last couple of years.
And police have not released any suspect information or the name of the victim, but they are canvassing the area for witnesses and for any videos as well. Taking you now to the densely populated downtown neighborhood of Liberty Village. New pushback is growing against a 43-story condo building, but some say it's the only way to accommodate growth in the area. Lane Harrison picks up the story.
Liberty Village is dense and getting denser, and some residents are saying the neighborhood has reached its limit. Complaints that have surfaced as a developer looks to build a 43-story tower in the middle of it.
I don't think that a tower should be built.
Development company Collective Marquis disagrees. It wouldn't do an interview, but on its site argues the tower will add much-needed rental housing, 588 purpose-built rental units to be exact, from studios to 3 bedrooms. But some worry it will make congestion worse.
When I first moved here about 2 years ago, it wasn't that bad. Since I've moved, about 2 or 3 towers have come online on this intersection, and every morning there's traffic.
This urban planner thinks it's the right kind of project.
We are in a housing crisis. We are in a climate crisis. So we need to make sure that we have our priorities right, and it's definitely housing over cars.
She says what's being pitched is a step in the right direction.
This purpose-built rental, it means that it will be all of it. Every unit in it will be rental, which is something that is, you know, a part of the spectrum of affordability, of tackling the housing crisis.
The project has met opposition online, with a petition calling to stop it garnering nearly 2,000 signatures.
The petition says the development would reduce green space in the area, but right now, much of the building is surrounded by parking. The developers say they would build a new public park here, which would be about 260 square meters. They also want to spruce up the pedestrian walkways around the site and add new retail.
Ken Greenberg, former director of urban design for the city, says both camps are making good points. He says Liberty Village could be better planned to accommodate growth.
There's not really a park in Liberty Village like the park that we're in now. Community centers, daycare, schools, all in addition to all the other services that people need in their daily lives aren't there. There's such a focus on the developers just building the housing.
He would like to see the city develop a master plan for the area. The city says it's reviewing the project's application with a full report to come next month. Lane Harrison, CBC News, Toronto.
We have breaking news tonight in Durham. The Conservative candidate has handily defeated his Liberal competitor in a by-election to replace former Conservative leader Erin O'Toole. Clara Pasica is live in the riding for us tonight. And Clara, the outcome certainly not surprising, but definitely resounding. What is the vibe like in that area where you are tonight?
Well, Chris, this is certainly still one very excited room. People came from across the province, supporters, some who had knocked on doors throughout the campaign. We've spoken to many MPs, Conservative MPs who came out to support this candidate. They're all very enthusiastic about this outcome. Certainly they wanted no surprises tonight, and we're pretty excited that they didn't get any surprises tonight with this resounding win. But it was really the candidate, Jamil Giovanni, entering the room and giving a speech that really got this crowd on their feet.
I think there are many conservatives like me. There are many conservatives who acknowledge that in 2024, it is our party that best represents the values of our communities. And in the candidates we nominate for the upcoming general election, and in the room right now, where you can look around and see the diversity of Canada is present here, you will see that Justin Trudeau better get used to it, because it's not changing anytime soon. No.
So this is, of course, a by-election, and we will have, the same Liberal government tomorrow in the morning. But people have a lot of hopes for this candidate. There's a lot of big issues that people spoke about throughout this campaign: affordability, housing, tensions between immigration and housing, the need to improve the healthcare system. So lots of big issues for this candidate and now future MP to tackle, certainly. We did get some hints about the type of MP that he'll be. I had asked him if his predecessor, Aaron O'Toole, his final words when he left politics had been that he thought politics had become too divisive and shouldn't be that way. I asked the now MP to be what he thought about those types of statements, and he said that sometimes you have to be a little divisive in order to get some stuff done. So some hints about that. Now, as you can see, there's still lots going on around me. They had wanted to wrap up the party pretty soon, but doesn't look like this crowd is going away anytime soon.
No, it certainly does not. All right, Clara Pasica reporting live for us tonight in Durham. Thank you, Clara. At Queen's Park, Ontario's NDP leader Marit Stiles proposed a renewed motion to remove tolls for truck drivers on Highway 407.
Freeing the 407 up will make sure that truckers get to their destinations faster, will give them more time to rest and get them back home to their families faster. And I want to talk as well about other commuters, because while this will benefit truckers and the trucking industry, the other benefit is to all commuters in the GTHA who are going to spend less time stuck in traffic.
Stiles calling on the Ford government to renegotiate the contract with 407 ETR instead of building the proposed Highway 413. She says removing the tolls would reduce the travel time for truckers and help improve traffic congestion on Highway 401. The motion was put to a vote this afternoon, but it did not pass. 9 degrees and cloudy right now as we look live at the city of Toronto. It is certainly a warm one tonight, but boy, today, Colette, was a really shocker of hot weather for March 4th.
Yeah, that's right, Chris. So much heat, so many records being broken. I can't mention them all, but I mean, from Goderich, Mount Forest, Toronto, yes, of course, Hamilton, back towards Windsor, Harrow, Sarnia, Lake Simcoe, Trenton. Yeah, and I'm still not mentioning all of them. So you can see some of the daytime highs. Even over towards Peterborough, it was 17 degrees, Kingston, 15. There was, a breeze off the lake, so closer to the lake shore, things felt cooler. And Hamilton, yeah, if you were near the lake, it was single digits, but at the airport, a little bit milder, and that's where the record made. So we just have to look through a quiet night tonight, but then we get into tomorrow. Cold front will be approaching. A really nice start to the day around the Golden Horseshoe with sunshine to begin, then increasing cloudiness. It'll begin in the morning to get some showers coming through southwestern Ontario. It's into the afternoon and evening that is going to roll through the GTA, so that afternoon commute a little bit on the slower side perhaps with the wet weather. Overnight tonight, though, 7 degrees, and still we're going to manage 17 tomorrow. I'll talk about where that cool down is going. It's not that cool, Chris, but that's coming up.
All right, but it sounds like a gorgeous start to tomorrow. Thank you, Colette. The sentencing hearing began today for Joseph George Sutherland, a man arrested nearly 40 years after he sexually assaulted and killed 2 women in Toronto. The court heard victim impact statements by relatives of the 2 women, and Talia Ricci has this full story.
Family of Susan Tice and Aaron Gilmore described decades of grief. The victim impact statement shared how the women's 1983 murders and the nearly 40-year search for the killer has changed their lives. Aaron Gilmore's brother Sean McCowan was emotional in court today when he described Aaron as an amazing sister. He recalled punching a hole in his bedroom wall when he found out she was murdered. "I've been waiting for this day since I was 13 years old," he tearfully told the court. "You stole my sister's life. You took someone away that I love. I get so lost sometimes in what my life would look like with her in it."
It's very, very hard to hear victim impact statements. My brothers, family, friends, my children, the Tice family. But there's almost a sense of, a lot of relief that that part of it is now completed.
Donald Johnson, Aaron's stepfather, described her as generous, kind, thoughtful, and artistic. He said Aaron's mother cried all the time and died in 2020, missing the chance to see her daughter's killer arrested. Both women were sexually assaulted and stabbed to death in their beds. Tice was 45 and Gilmore was 22. They lived just kilometers apart, Tice in the Bickford Park neighborhood and Gilmore in a Yorkville apartment. In her victim impact statement, Christian, Tice's daughter, said she continues to live with anxiety, depression, and keeps a baseball bat in her bedroom out of fear. "It isn't fair to lose your mom in such a horrific way because at 16, I was introduced to the evil in the world." Her son Jason said he's also dealt with anxiety and depression his entire life. "I spent decades believing my father was responsible. In that way, Sutherland also denied me of my father. To this day, I am not particularly close to anyone." Joseph George Sutherland was in his early 20s at the time of the murders and was a stranger to Tice and Gilmore. Sutherland was arrested in 2022 at the age of 61. Police credited the advances in DNA technology in recent years to help them find him. At the time of his arrest, Sutherland lived in the northern Ontario community of Moosonee, nearly 1,000 kilometers away from his crimes. He pleaded guilty to 2 counts of second-degree murder last October and faces an automatic life sentence of prison with no chance to apply for parole for at least 10 years to a maximum of 25 years. A judge will rule on the date of Sutherland's parole eligibility after hearing from lawyers.
I'm just hoping for as long a sentence as the judge finds. I hope it's obviously on the longer end of the recommendations.
Because he's serving a life sentence, Sutherland will have no guarantee of parole. Court is expected to resume later in March. Talia Ricci, CBC News, Toronto.
New details are emerging tonight about a protest outside a Thornhill synagogue this weekend. Pro-Palestinian demonstrators clashed with counter-protesters who say their actions were anti-Semitic. But those in attendance say the demonstration was organized to protest a real estate event marketing illegally occupied land in the West Bank. Tyler Cheese has that story.
A lot of my clients have expressed interest in moving to Israel, so I thought it was worthwhile for them to see the real estate side of things going on there.
A real estate expo held at a synagogue in Thornhill became the scene of a heated protest yesterday.
I don't think it's appropriate to show up and have a protest and a rally outside a synagogue, outside a home for Jewish individuals with special needs, near a library with children, and the manner in which it went about was very antagonistic.
Demonstrators say they gathered at the synagogue because they believe the real estate event was advertising properties for sale in the West Bank. The Canadian government does not recognize Israel's control over the region.
Now, on their website, they say that it's based in central Israel, but that's not true. According to international law, it is, on occupied land. It is based in the West Bank. If you look at other properties on their website, you will see a lot of them have undisclosed address.
Meanwhile, those involved in the real estate expo are pushing back against those allegations.
That is absolutely false. Absolutely 100% false. I know the properties that were being sold, and it was not undisputed land.
One pro-Palestinian advocate we spoke with, who is also a realtor, says it's inappropriate to hold this kind of event in a synagogue in the first place.
Synagogues are holy places of worship. They should not be used to hold real estate events. I, as a realtor, would never, ever consider holding one of my real estate events in a synagogue.
But they say they weren't targeting the synagogue itself or Jewish residents of the neighborhood.
No matter where these events were, we would be there protesting. If there was a Russian Orthodox church that decided to hold an event to sell Ukrainian land, we would all be protesting there as well. It's not a matter of where it is, it's a matter of what it is.
B'nai B'rith, a Jewish service organization, condemned yesterday's protest and called on Canadian law enforcement to prevent future demonstrations at Israeli real estate events. Similar events are scheduled to take place in Montreal tomorrow and in Thornhill on Thursday. Tyler Cheese, CBC News, Toronto.
Meantime, a man who clashed with protesters during yesterday's demonstration in Thornhill is facing a number of charges. Police say they were called to the synagogue just before 10 a.m. yesterday after someone reported being assaulted. Witnesses told police a man stopped his vehicle near pro-Palestinian demonstrators and began swearing at and then got into a confrontation with 3 demonstrators. One person told police the man discharged a nail gun. According to investigators, no one was injured. The accused is a 27-year-old man from Vaughan. He's facing several charges, including assault and assault with a weapon. Welcome back. Residents in South Etobicoke are angry that a major transit and housing development has gone off the rails. Metrolinx had a deal with Van Dyke Properties to rebuild Mimico GO Station as part of a new transit-oriented community, but the agency recently canceled the agreement after the developer ran into financial trouble. Ryan Patrick Jones reports.
Commuters heading home arrive at Mimico Station. As they exit into the parking lot, they walk by a massive hole where an excavation started but never finished. Further down is a vacant lot. This is where Van Dyke Properties plan to build a mixed-use community with thousands of housing units, retail, public and green space. The province fast-tracked the project, and in exchange, Van Dyke had agreed to build a brand new, fully accessible train station with underground parking. But those plans are no more.
People are getting fed up because all you hear is delays, delays, delays.
And there's a lot of concern in the community about the lack of progress at this site, and there has been for many years. And this is not the first time that a developer brought in to redevelop this area, make improvements to the GO Station, build housing, has gone into receivership.
In 2008, a developer made a deal with Metrolinx to build a condo with direct access to the train station. In 2012, Metrolinx pulled out, and that developer eventually went bankrupt 5 years later. In 2018, the province announced a new deal with another developer, Van Dyke Properties, which would completely rebuild the train station in exchange for the right to build housing in the area. But last November, Metrolinx terminated its agreement with Van Dyke after a court-appointed receiver took control of its Mimico properties over unpaid debts. In the meantime, the land sits vacant. 3 large sites next to the train station will likely stay this way for the foreseeable future, while the receiver decides what to do with the properties. They could be sold separately or together to a new developer. In the meantime, community leaders say they want to see the city, the province, and Metrolinx deal with the vacant lots.
It's been 10 years that we've been staring at a hole in the ground. What are we going to do today to solve the problems for the community and the people that live here now, instead of pushing it off further?
Because this community really can't afford many more years, maybe a decade or more, of this site remaining the way that it is.
The province says while its arrangement with Van Dyke is no more, Metrolinx can negotiate a new agreement with a new developer in the future. But it remains to be seen when Mimico residents will get their new train station and when these empty lots will become a neighborhood. Ryan Patrick Jones, CBC News, Toronto.
All right, so another gorgeous March day coming our way tomorrow, and call it the high teens expected are then dropping off a cliff by Wednesday.
Yeah, Chris, we'll get into the cool down to our temperatures. It's not that extreme. It's just when you compare it to the record-setting heat today, we'll begin to notice it as we get towards Wednesday. Still another mild day ahead as we're into that warmth early for the season. That's why it's record-setting. And talk about contrast. Yes, very cold temperatures there through the prairies. I mean, talking about highs of -20, lows of -30, and it's going to take a few days for that to back off. So they improve a little bit as you go into Tuesday, Wednesday, but it's really not till the weekend that the temperatures there are going to get, like say in Saskatoon, highs going above the freezing mark. It will come back as things level off a little bit. And we just see things, I mean, frankly, that's it, kind of leveling off a little bit. So not the extremes in the teens, but still temperatures are going to be above normal for this time of year as we get through the rest of the week and cool down from this real heat at the beginning. So it's not too much of a depression departure there. Now, here comes the cold front. That's going to have the impact. Do know that it's going to be a nice start to the day tomorrow, so we will have some sun before the clouds fill in. You may even get a little into southwestern Ontario, but the showers will be on your heels a little bit earlier in the day. And then we see first isolated showers in the afternoon, and then late afternoon into the evening for the commute, we get a little more consistent wet weather that's going to be coming through Toronto and then passing on towards eastern Ontario. Wednesday, we could still have some residual showers. More significant rain seems to stay to the south, but still a risk in the forecast. And in terms of the amounts, we're looking at, around 10 millimeters, could be closer to 15, around 10 back towards Windsor, more significant around St. Catharines, and then again towards eastern Ontario. Lows tonight, in some cases, very mild. And in fact, we've been seeing the warmth in the overnight lows also being records in terms of the heat the last few days, even for Toronto. But where are we going? After 17 for the high tomorrow. Yeah, that's what I mean by still above normal, but just knocking those temperatures back about 10 degrees for the daytime high, Chris.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Colette, and we'll be right back. Hey, returning with a CBC Sports exclusive, we're learning that billionaire Larry Tannenbaum is pursuing a WNBA expansion team for Toronto. Sources say Tannenbaum, who is chairman of MLSE, is seeking the team through his holding company, the Kilmer Group, and an announcement could come as soon as May. Last May, when Scotiabank Arena played host to a sold-out WNBA preseason game, the league's commissioner said Toronto was on a short list of 10 cities they were looking at for expansion. Sources tell CBC Tannenbaum is looking at Coca-Cola Coliseum on the exhibition grounds as a possible venue. And finally tonight, members of the Toronto Raptors surprised a group of basketball players today.
It was so crazy. I'm so excited. I've never met a big sports team before. I'm shaking so much because I'm so nervous, and I'm so excited that they're here. And I don't know, it's probably just a dream for me. It's so cool that they're here.
Oh, I love her energy. Several Raptor players made a surprise visit to the MLSE launch pad, including guards Emmanuel Quickley and Grady Dick. They were there to support an initiative aimed at celebrating women in sport and empowering girls through basketball. And that's it for us tonight. I'll be back with you tomorrow night at 11, and we'll see you then.